The Foreshore and Seabed Act is one of the most controversial pieces of legislation in New Zealand's political history. It was so controversial that it caused defections from the Labour Party and the founding of the Maori Party. I am generally supportive of the Foreshore and Seabed Act. The act was in response to the prospect of the courts recognising Maori ownership of coastal territories. There was much public outcry and fear of a loss of access to coastal locations. I think these concerns are valid. The Foreshore and Seabed Act overruled the courts. In New Zealand, the Parliament is supreme, so Parliament does have the authority to overrule the courts. The Helen Clark government vested ownership of the Foreshore and Seabed in the Crown. This outraged many and led to the creation of the Maori Party. Effectively, the bill served to ensure public access to and government control over coastal areas. I support this. Most iwi are little better than private companies. I do not want them to control large swaths of coastline and limit the freedom of the public. People on the left love to complain about the bill and pretend Helen Clark was some kind of vicious racist. But the bill was a cunning piece of political strategy. At this time in New Zealand history, Labour was in big trouble. They were struggling in the polls, largely because the National had framed them as mindlessly pro-Maori. Had the Foreshore and Seabed Act not been passed, Don Brash would have won the 2005 election. As it was, he came very close to winning. And that would have made Helen Clark look very pro-Maori by comparison. Sometimes these kinds of compromises are strategically necessary. Even if you oppose the bill, you should be able to sympathise with the strategic reasoning. Initially, the bill was to vest ownership of the Foreshore and Seabed in the New Zealand public. However, the support of New Zealand First was required, and they wanted ownership to be vested in the state. They are big government economic nationalists, so nobody was all that surprised. Still, this likely damaged the credibility of the policy. It is one thing to take something from an ethnic minority and make it for everyone. It is another thing to claim it for the Crown. The latter is worse. Even if in practical terms it makes little difference, it is far more repulsive symbolically. What do you think of the Foreshore and Seabed Act? Tell me in the comment section.